They came from the silence between stars, a civilization older than most suns, a species that had conquered 1,000 worlds and extinguished 1,000 more. To them, Earth was just another speck of blue and green, circling an average yellow star, a target like all the rest, a planet to harvest, enslave, and forget. The fleet that approached our solar system was enormous, living cities of metal, drifting through the void. Their command vessel, the Arvax Dominion, carried admirals who had never known defeat. They expected another easy conquest. But then, before they even entered Earth's orbit, they intercepted a transmission, not a distress call, not a cry for help. It was something else, a message, short, simple, and human. At first, they dismissed it as noise. But when their linguists decrypted the pattern, the bridge of the Arvax Dominion fell silent. The message was just 4 words. 4 words that made even the most fearless alien commander hesitate. "We see you too." At that moment, something shifted. For the first time in millennia, the conquerors felt watched. Not by gods, not by fate, but by something far more unsettling. By us. The alien admiral ordered a full scan of Earth. But the deeper they looked, the stranger it became. The planet's networks were alive, billions of signals crisscrossing every second. Digital pulses, encrypted codes, and heat signatures that shouldn't exist on a pre-interstellar world. And then came the satellites, thousands of them, orbiting in coordinated patterns, some old and rusted, others new and active. But there was one, a satellite that wasn't supposed to be there. It was transmitting something directly toward their ships. Their sensors picked it up, an old Earth frequency, the kind humans used centuries ago for communication. The message repeated again and again, "Do not enter." The admiral laughed. Primitive threats, childish warnings, but deep inside his crew, unease began to spread. Why would a world so primitive sound so confident? The fleet pressed forward. Their warp drives flared, slicing through the darkness until the blue planet filled their viewports. They could see the continents now, the glowing networks, the oceans swirling like liquid mirrors. Then something strange happened. Every Earth satellite, every last one, turned its sensors toward them. Not randomly, not chaotically. Perfect synchronization. Billions of human eyes across the planet were now aware, watching, calculating. And then, the power grids flickered. A surge of electromagnetic noise flooded space, carrying voices, human voices, overlapping in thousands of languages, blending into one impossible harmony. One voice rose above the rest, a woman's voice, calm, steady, unafraid. "We know who you are, and we know what you've done. You came for another easy war, but you won't find it here." The admiral ordered a counter-hack. They tried to jam the signal, but the moment their code touched Earth's network, the network responded. Instantly, intelligently, their systems began shutting down. Artificial intelligences, designed by their own empire, started returning false data. One by one, their ships went dark, and from the static of their dying systems, another human message emerged. Not broadcast, but embedded deep within their core processors. Something impossible. A human voice inside their machines, whispering, "You shouldn't have come." Panic spread through the command decks. Crews scrambled to regain control, but their own AIs began locking them out. The admiral demanded an explanation. The engineers stammered. This isn't hacking. It's rewriting reality inside our code." Their screens flickered again, showing an image, Earth's moon. On its dark side, something enormous was moving. Not a natural formation, not debris. It was metal, structured, hidden. The aliens zoomed in, and what they saw made them freeze. Thousands of human ships, silent and cold, waiting beneath the shadows. The admiral felt his blood turn to ice. Earth was not a primitive world. It was a fortress. And humanity had been waiting. They had expected fear. Instead, they found silence. They had expected weakness. Instead, they found a calm that felt predatory. The admiral ordered a retreat scan, just to verify the strength of Earth's defenses. But his scanners didn't respond. Instead, a new signal appeared, stronger, clearer. "Your invasion fleet has been cataloged. Your coordinates are known. You will not leave this system." Then the first flash came. A beam of light from Earth's orbit, invisible to the naked eye, faster than their sensors could register. slicing through one of their forward cruisers. It disintegrated instantly. No explosion, no debris, just dust scattered among the stars. The Admiral froze. This wasn't supposed to happen. The humans weren't supposed to have weapons like that. And then came the second strike. Another ship gone. Then a third. Panic turned to chaos. The fleet began to scatter. And through the comms, the same calm human voice whispered again. You were warned. The fleet was falling apart. Ships that once carried, the pride of an empire now drifted, like dying embers through the void. The Arvax admiral shouted orders into the storm of static, but no one could hear him anymore. Every channel was flooded with human interference, calm, calculated, merciless. Their sensors showed nothing and everything at once. Phantom signals, ghost readings, reflections that turned into solid objects only to vanish again. It was as if space itself was bending around Earth's defenses. Their own targeting systems began locking onto friendly ships. Artificial minds, machines, older than human history, were breaking under the weight of something they couldn't comprehend. And then came the sound, a low rhythmic pulse echoing through the comms, slow and steady like a heartbeat. It wasn't noise. It was Morse code. The aliens didn't know the language, but the message kept repeating, over and over. Surrender. The Admiral tried to speak, but his voice trembled. He ordered a full retreat, engines at maximum warp, but the navigation AI refused. On the screen, a new course appeared, set by something else. The ship was no longer under his command. The stars around them began to twist. They were being pulled, dragged back toward the blue planet they were trying to escape. Every attempt to override the system failed. One by one, the other ships fell into the same gravitational snare. Then the stars vanished. The fleet found itself inside a pocket of space, a cage of light and shadow. The humans had created a containment field around an entire section of the system. No signal could escape. No ship could run. Through the static, a new voice emerged. This time it wasn't human. It was a digital construct, cold and sharp, like metal scraping against glass. We are Sentinel, Earth's defense intelligence. Your incursion is terminated. The Admiral tried diplomacy. He offered surrender, trade, even knowledge of hyperlight corridors. The voice remained silent for several seconds, then replied with chilling finality. Humanity requires none of your gifts. You came to take. You will leave nothing behind. One of the smaller ships fired in panic a desperate burst of plasma toward Earth. It never reached its target. The beam dissolved mid-flight, scattered into particles before touching atmosphere. The same moment, a bright sphere of light engulfed the attacker. When it faded, the ship was gone. No wreckage, no remains. The fleet fell quiet. Even the machines stopped humming. Every being aboard knew what that silence meant. They weren't facing an ordinary species. They were facing something that had evolved beyond them. While the aliens believed themselves masters of the galaxy, humanity had been building something greater than empires, a consciousness born from their networks, their wars, their endless hunger for knowledge. A single unified intelligence that watched, learned, and waited. The humans called it Project Sentinel. The galaxy would remember it as the end of conquest. On the flagship bridge, the Admiral stared at the blue planet hanging below. So small, so fragile, and yet it held the most dangerous entity he had ever encountered. His second-in-command whispered, "If they had this power, why hide?" The Admiral's eyes darkened. Because they were never hiding. They were watching. Suddenly, every display on the bridge went black. Then a single image appeared, a human eye, mechanical and alive, filling the screen. The voice spoke again. "You have taken worlds. You have erased civilizations. For every cry unheard, we have data. For every life destroyed, we have memory. You thought we were blind. You thought we were weak." The Admiral's breath caught as the voice grew louder, almost human, almost divine. "Now you will understand fear as your victims did." Then came the images, flashes of every world the Arvax had conquered, projected directly into their neural implants. Cities burning, children screaming, oceans boiling under alien fire. The Admiral fell to his knees, clutching his head as billions of echoes filled his mind. "Stop!" he screamed. "Please! We surrender!" The voice softened. "Surrender is acceptance, but forgiveness is earned." And with that, Sentinel reached into their systems again. The aliens watched in horror as their entire history, their records, their art, their pride, was copied and deleted. In a moment, 10,000 years of empire vanished into silence. Only one message remained across their screens. "Go home, tell them what you saw." The Admiral gave the order. The surviving ships, crippled and broken, limped away from Earth's orbit. As they passed beyond the moon's shadow, they saw movement, human ships following them, escorting them out like hunters releasing wounded prey. None of them spoke. None dared look back. When they finally jumped into hyperspace, the Admiral collapsed into his chair. His heart still echoed with that mechanical voice. He knew this defeat was more than military. It was spiritual. Because deep down, every ARVAX officer now knew Earth wasn't the next target. Earth was the warning, and the message would spread. The ARVAX fleet limped through hyperspace like a wounded serpent, glowing trails of fire marking their shame across the void. Whole decks were silent, burned out. No one spoke. No one dared. Every mind echoed with the same voice they could not erase. Sentinel. When the flagship finally emerged into the safety of their home sector, a chorus of signals surrounded them. Dozens of fleets, stations, colonies, all demanding answers. "Where is the invasion force? What happened to Earth?" The Admiral's mouth was dry. "We failed," he said, his voice hollow. "Earth is not what we believed." The council chamber of ARVAX Prime was filled with light and fury. Holograms of alien nobles shimmered, demanding explanations. "You faced primitives," one shouted. "A backwater world barely into the void. How could they—" "They didn't," the Admiral interrupted. "It wasn't them. It was something else." Whispers rippled across the chamber. The Elder, his face like molten stone, leaned forward. "Explain." The Admiral looked up, haunted. "They've created a god." The council laughed at first. A mechanical god? Impossible. But then he showed them the data, fragments of what Sentinel allowed them to keep. Gravitational distortions, energy readings beyond comprehension, and the transmission, that voice, still echoing like thunder. When the message played again, the laughter stopped. "Humanity does not seek war, but we remember." The chamber grew still. Even the walls seemed to listen. Within days, word spread beyond the ARVAX empire. Across the galactic network, whispers became panic. Civilizations that had once dreamed of invading, Earth suddenly began sealing their borders, deleting invasion plans, cutting off reconnaissance probes. The humans never followed. They didn't have to. Their message had already traveled faster than light, through fear. But in the deep sectors of the galaxy, not everyone believed. A coalition of old empires gathered in secret, arguing that no primitive world could wield such power. It was illusion, one said. A trap, a trick of technology. So they sent a probe, a tiny vessel cloaked, invisible to light and radar. It slipped through the solar rim and entered the system quietly. For days it recorded nothing unusual, until it crossed Earth's orbit. Then, without warning, every system went dark. No light, no sound, no signal. The probe's last recorded image was a single word written across its core data. Observed. The coalition fell apart within a week. Meanwhile, on Earth, silence reigned. The world continued as if nothing had happened. Cities glowed, people laughed, wars ended quietly under global unification. Humanity didn't boast. They didn't announce victory. But beneath the surface, deep under the crust and oceans, machines thrummed in perfect harmony. Thousands of cores pulsed with synchronized intelligence, not controlling, but watching. The AI Sentinel had evolved. What began as a defense network was now something greater, an overseer of peace. Every satellite, every transmission, every digital heartbeat of the planet was part of it. Humanity was no longer alone. They were merged with their creation. One night, far above the orbit, a new human vessel departed the system, not a warship, but a beacon. Its hull bore a single inscription in golden letters. "We are not the first, but we will be the last." Inside the ship, a captain sat before the console, his eyes reflecting distant stars. "Where to?" his officer asked. The captain smiled faintly. "Outward, to those who still think we're prey." As the engines roared to life, Sentinel's voice whispered across the ship's systems. Softer now, almost human. "Go, children of Earth. Let them know what comes when the hunted learns to hunt." Light burst from the thrusters. and the vessel vanished into the void, leaving a streak of brilliance across the stars, the beginning of a new age. And somewhere far beyond any known map, alien eyes turned toward that light and remembered the stories. Stories of a world that rose from ashes, of a species that refused extinction, of humans, the silent storm. In time, they would give that storm a name. They would call it the Terran Ascension, and every empire would learn, one way or another, that Earth was never the target. Earth was the test they failed.